Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. People of Reddit, what was the most NSFW event you ever stumbled upon in high school? No one thought it would be a bad idea for the cross-country team to have thin white uniforms until we had a race in a thunderstorm. So many flashbacks of penises swaying with each stride. In my school it was girls' varsity soccer in the spring. We had lots of fans when it rained. Hopefully not the nearby retirement home. It's like wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all. In middle school some kids walked in and started having sex in the stall next to me while I was pooping. Eventually they smelled my presence. Gotta assert your dominance. The fact that he took a shit in school toilets asserts him as the alpha. This was junior high, but one kid who we suspected was gay gave another kid who we did not suspect was gay a blowjob in the bathroom stall. And for what? A holofoil Clefairy Pokemo card. Gotta catch 'em all. Service rendered, goods received. Just a standard transaction. It's just good business. I went to a boarding school my freshman year of high school, and a few weeks in, I volunteered to help walk our librarian's dog for her while her leg was healing after an injury. So I was walking this huge dog through the woods around campus when he suddenly sniffed the air and just ripped the leash out of my hands and took off into the underbrush. I started chasing after him when I heard screaming and yelling. I thought, oh god, this dog mauled someone and I'm going to get expelled. Broke through a clearing and there were 5 half-naked upperclassmen trying to put their clothes on and scatter while this dog is joyously barking and jumping up on and licking them. TLDR accidentally interrupted an orgy in the woods with my librarian's dog. Edit, I guess since so many people are asking, yes, it was a co-ed school and yes, both sexes were represented. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Dog Days. Walked into a bathroom after school and found a guy and a girl about to go to town. She had her shirt off and skirt up, he had his pants on. I caught them just before the moment of insertion. I said nothing. I would have left them to it, except all other bathrooms on campus except this one were always locked shortly before last bell. So I silently walked to a urinal, calmly did my business, properly washed my hands. By the time I went to leave, the girl was hiding in a stall and the guy was waiting by the door. I shrugged at the guy shrugged back, I left and heard the door lock behind me. Not one of us said anything or made a sound during the entire exchange. Edit, for everyone calling it a power move, I appreciate it, but I just didn't wanna have to pee in the bushes. What a Chad, inserting your dominance like that. Edit, it's assertive not insertive spogabob. In band before a football game, I walk into the percussion room to hang with the homies. Everyone is huddled around this dude in the corner of the room laughing, so of course I walk over to check it out. Turns out the dude was showing everyone how tiny his dick is and everyone was so fascinated. Yeah, it was really small. Like from the tip of your pinky to the first knuckle down. I've never seen anything like it, lol. Edit, I know it called a micropies. Feo. Sounds normal. I have some bad news, buddy. Props to the dude for having the confidence to show everyone though. We dick energy. Some kid at a party got blackout wasted and shat himself. In the middle of the crowd he took his pants down and slipped in it, proceeded to army crawl to try and make it out but just smeared it everywhere. He is still known as the party pooper. Incredible nickname. I ran cross-country in high school. Sometimes during practice we would run through trails in the woods surrounding the high school. One day right after school ended we started running down the trails and stumbled upon 2 students having sex. Judging by their reactions I don't think they were expecting a group of 15 guys to run by while they were getting it on. Did they finish? Didn't stick around long enough to find out, but I imagine they relocated to a more private location first. We had a girl who would sit in the back of the bus and seemed to always have a different dude sit next to her. Turns out she was giving guys hand jobs for a small price. School is all about learning a trade. In 8th grade we went on a class trip to Hershey Park. 2 girls gave a guy a blowjob on the bus ride home next to a sleeping chaperone. They eventually got caught and that's why there are now no co-ed buses in the district. This was also in 2002. I wonder if that's the reason we don't have co-ed in my district. How can your districts afford separate buses for gender like we barely have enough in general? Freshman year of high school, football team is out practicing. A senior varsity player came into the freshman locker room, cut all the locks off our lockers, and stole our clothes. Nice enough to take wallets and phones etc. out of pockets and leave them in the lockers though. Idiot didn't realize the hallway cameras had him the whole time. Most of us chose not to shower until we got home and as a team proceeded to leave in groups in undershirts and boxers or no shirts and boxers after getting a call our rides were there. Small town, small school, so ultimately he was just benched for a few games, suspended for a day or two, and his parents had to buy a bunch of padlocks. Pretty reasonable outcome, actually. Pretty reasonable. Pranksters took the time to remove all valuables from the things he took. The clothes were probably returned. So it was more an annoyance and a prank than theft. I went to a small party at my friend's house. My girlfriend and I got there late. We went in and noticed nobody was in the living room. Weird, they said they'd be here. Start walking to the back and I could hear several voices in the bedroom. I just opened the door and there were 7 of my friends just having a casual orgy. One must wonder what a casual orgy looks like. Well, what does a non-casual orgy look like? Are they all there in formal business wear? I'd argue that most orgies, not that I've personally partook in one, would be casual, as if they weren't it'd probably be hard to enjoy the casual / relaxed nature of the open sex. No. How the fuck does this happen without you knowing this stuff about your friends? I knew they were all pretty open about their sexuality, but I didn't think they'd go so far down that road. Not me specifically. But 2 kids in my Catholic high school fucked in the bathroom and someone caught them and videotaped it. They posted it online. Our school made the news and now they measure girls' skirts if they look too high, as well as banning phones. Wow, what an idiot. What happened to the dummy who produced, possessed, and distributed child pornography? I think they were a minor too, and the students may not have been children either. In this country you stop being a minor at 16 and it isn't CP. I don't know the ages of the students involved. I think there was a police inquiry though. Yup, skirt length was the problem here. What happens in the locker room should stay in the locker room. With that said, I once walked in on a kid shoving a crucifix up his ass on a dare from his friends. Holy shit. He was ready to accept Jesus. The power of Christ compelled him. Edit, Hui first gold. Of course it has to do with ass toying, public dares, and blasphemy. Of course. Thank you and have an awesome weekend, Gilda of Awesomeness. Fresh jizz on a locker room bench. A kid pulled his pants down in Spanish class and pissed in the corner. A kid with a mental handicap who would vigorously masturbate in AP Political Science at least once a week. Edit. One day in AP Pol ISCI, the kid with Asperger's sat alone in a row of empty chairs all closely placed together directly in front of the teacher. In the middle of class, he reclined across 4 adjacent seats and went to work in his pants. At my angle, I could see everything. The tent. His forearm pistoning up and down. The veins in his neck. He stuck out his tongue and curled his toes, taunting us like that for 5, maybe 10 seconds, before the teacher shouted at him. This kid did weird shit, but he was in a number of my AP classes and, I think, legitimately earned his way. He carried our team's ass in AP Brit Lit junior year during in-class Jeopardy games. And way too many of y'all two shared this pissing in Spanish class experience for us to be in the same class. What's going on out there? We had a handicapped jerker too. One time he whipped it out walking down the hall between class and went to town laughing his ass off. The hall was full of people. Apparently it was huge. Which one? The hall, the class, the town, or his ass? We had a kid that would strip down naked and dry hump girls. They let it happen until he bit someone hard enough to get stitches. So they built a big fence around the special education unit so that he couldn't get out. Problem was the special education unit was along the main road, so cars would drive by and see the naked special ed kid in what was practically a giant dog run. To stop everyone seeing him naked, they covered the fence with black shade cloth so you couldn't see in. Edit, I asked a friend about this and I have my order of events wrong. This kid went around dry humping girls fully dressed, and bit a girl who required stitches. The fence was then built and as a protest the kid started stripping off and throwing his clothes over the fence. To stop this from being viewed by the public they covered it with black shade cloth. Not quite so bad, but it still includes caging special needs kids. AP Political Science. Mental handicap. Elaborate. Asperger's. He was gifted but had zero concept of social norms. And he got off on messing with people. He used to fill his lunchbox with cockroaches he found around campus and then eat them one by one in front of people or in class to elicit reactions. Okay, 2 stories, 1 NSFW but still messed up. Janitor in elementary school died while mopping the floor and somehow this didn't get around the entire school and my entire class saw them taking his covered up body out the front door. Another is walking in on several people giving BJs in the bathroom. It became a daily thing and I should have known to also knock on the practice room doors before entering. A security guard from my school died. He died around November last year, and when my school had the pep rally in the school auditorium, every student stood up for a moment of silence for the security guard. Even though I never really met him, it's very sad having a security guard die young. A kid in the grade below me died from pneumonia. He was 14. Most kids found out the next day at school. Since he was in band, they brought a grief counselor into the band homeroom to tell us. The whole room burst into tears at the same time. The school set up spaces in the library for kids to go to throughout the day to talk to grief counselors. All the students in the school came together a few days later and brought candles to his parents' house. I walked past his house on my way to school and his parents never took the candles off their front steps. His funeral was the same weekend as the band trip, so no one in the band could go. We made sure to keep a chair open for him and put a picture of him on it. It was his birthday a few days ago. He would have been 23.